Now, what in the Carnival is going on here? There are rumors floating about that Carnival Cruise Line is allegedly planning to build some newer and larger ships bigger than their current XL or Excellence class within a few years' time to potentially compete with Royal Caribbean. Well, in this video, I'm going to explain why I don't think that will happen, and if it does, why it's not exactly a good idea. As we get into this rumored Carnival information, I do believe it is important to provide somewhat of an overview and a little context as far as what I believe the landscape and current state of the industry is right now, at least when it comes to the more so mainstream and popular cruise lines that are currently operating. These are your Carnivals, your Royal Caribbean, your NCL, and MSC. As it seems like over the past 5 years, half a decade or so, they've been kind of playing this anchor measuring game. Who can create the most innovative ships with knickknacks and theme park attractions, as it's become somewhat of a theme park cruise ship hybrid to attract families, because we all know more families, if they come, they're going to spend a lot more money. It does make sense. Three cruise lines in particular are playing this game of who can create the biggest ship. We already know Royal Caribbean has taken the crown on that. However, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and MSC are playing that game of who can go bigger and bigger and bigger. Even if Royal Caribbean has won, NCL, I believe, has been smart enough to kind of drop out of the race, as with their Prima class, they have gone smaller with more luxurious and premium touches. The new game changer, Don't Only Cruise Line Virgin Voyages, has decided to opt out of that game, as they are creating smaller ships that come from somewhat of a yacht style experience, which overall, yeah, they got some kinks to work out, but they are definitely doing their thing. But when it comes to the lines that are playing this bigger ship game, I think we all can agree that it has gotten a little repetitive and honestly annoying in some areas. When it comes to the rumors circulating Carnival Cruise Line and the potential build and launch of even bigger ships, do keep in mind that they just launched their third XL class ship just 1 month ago. I was on it over there in Texas, the Carnival Jubilee. And they're saying now by 2027, allegedly, there are going to be 3 to 4 more new ships, new series of ships that are going to be in the works, each costing in the range between 1.6 or more billion dollars, totaling to about $7 billion worth of cruise ships. Just to get a little nerdy here for a second, currently Carnival's XL or Excellence class, the largest ships within their fleet, as far as the tonnage, you're talking about around an average of 180,000 tons, holding about 6,500 passengers at full capacity. This new rumored class of Carnival ships is believed to be in the range of about 200,000 tons, holding over 7,000 passengers. Now, if you take that and compare it to what is available right now with Royal Caribbean, even before we get to the new Icon class, capable of holding in the range of about 10,000 passengers and 250,000 tons, Carnival's new ships wouldn't even compete with Royal Caribbean's Oasis class ships that are currently in operation. They have 4 of them. Those ships are within the range of about 225,000 tons, meaning that even if Carnival launched a new series or class of ships, they wouldn't even compete with Royal Caribbean's prior class of ships to the ones that they have now, on top of other problems that Carnival, I believe, still needs to work out. I'm going to be very blunt here in a second. However, I do want to start off by saying that Carnival is a successful cruise line, regardless of what some people may say, if they are loyal to Royal or any other cruise line for that matter. There's a reason why, with as many ships as they have within their fleet, and they do have a lot of them, they are usually sold out, especially during the peak seasons, out of which being spring, summer, and holiday season around Christmas time. That being said, I do believe that Carnival still needs to get its house in order. I sail with Carnival a lot. They are a great cruise line. However, one thing that Royal Caribbean clearly has over Carnival is the consistency as well as the brand image. Royal Caribbean at this point in time, and yes, for anybody says anything, I have to compare the two because Carnival and Royal Caribbean are essentially linked. They are rivals, even more so I would argue than like a Carnival and Norwegian or MSC. Royal Caribbean has used influencers and even their own crew members to document and put out the brand in which they want to kind of represent for themselves, the vibe that they need. Carnival, I have mentioned on multiple occasions, their PR team is not very good. Carnival also has an issue, like I said, not only with consistency, but keeping their word. Over the past year or so, Carnival has announced that they were going to tighten up on all the craziness and the conundrums that are taking place on board. And, well, I would argue 2023 was worse than ever, at least as far as what was being put out to the media and the articles that were being written. It just did not look good. By the way, do keep in mind, however, that all of this is irrelevant because at this point in in time, the last time we checked, Carnival did come out and say that they were done building cruise ships for now. Not forever, but I do believe that this class and leaving off with the Jubilee, they were going to give it a little bit of break, a little bit of a breather. And I do believe it is justified for the reasons that I mentioned. Also, I do believe that when it comes to Carnival as a brand, let's say they do have a demographic. It's not a poor people cruise line. I always call it the average Joe's cruise line. If you want to chop it up as the Walmart of the seas, I would say that at some point, whether it was you or maybe you have a little bit of money now, you've decided to upgrade to Target or Sprout or wherever it is you do your shopping, at one point in time, you probably went to Walmart for something. So I don't look at it as a negative term. Nevertheless, if I'm being honest, as somebody that has paid and taken multiple cruises with Carnival, from the smaller ships to the larger ships to the older ships to the newer ships, I do believe that in a sense, Carnival has lost its image. If I were to take, let's say, two blank or shadow photos of Carnival and Royal Caribbean, and I saw all the roller coasters and knickknacks and all the cool things to do, and somebody asked me, hey, which one is Carnival and which one is Royal Caribbean? I would argue that I believe that in a way, Carnival should have been where Royal Caribbean is, given the name and honestly where they started with. If you look at Carnival and their ships from back in the early 90s and 2000s, they had style. The ships were very funky and tacky and it worked. The venues were very unique and stylish. You don't exactly have that anymore with Carnival's newest class of ships, the XL class. I believe it is, in a way, very plain Jane and it's very stereotypical for cruising. And sure, you can argue that that is nice, but I do believe that they don't really have that thing anymore. They can say they're the fun ship. However, I would argue you can have the same amount of fun, if not more, on other lines like a Norwegian with the go-karts and Royal Caribbean with all the other cool things that they have on board. I know many of you very important fun people are going to be angry and say that this is a Carnival bash video. I promise it isn't. I do love Carnival. I think they have a great product. However, as far as rushing to build a new ship or a new series of ships rather to then compete with other lines like your Royal Caribbean, I don't think it is advisable. I would say take a step back, collect your money, lick your wounds for no longer having the world's largest cruise ships, and take it as that and figure out a formula that is going to work so that you have a better product without incidences, and of course work on that PR team as well as building the image that you want to portray on board your cruise ship. I'm not saying use influencers because personally I don't really care much for influencers. I don't consider myself an influencer. I'm a content creator, a cruise enthusiast, a travel commentator, if you will. I don't want to belong in that category, but the Carnival does need to find a formula. They need to find consistency, and I believe they need to take a step back and just breathe for a little bit. Anywho, like I said, Carnival has already mentioned that they don't have new ships in the works. Maybe this idea of launching a new series of ships in 2027 was a thing that was going on a year or a couple years ago. However, maybe that has since been scrapped and the details or outlines of those plans have been leaked, and this is why people are talking about it now. But of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Maybe some of you out there think that I am wrong, but it is what it is. I want to hear your opinions. I would love to hear your opinions. Of course, hit that like button on your way out, or dislike if you didn't like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And know, as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.